my goal is to revitalize and reestablish Maverick as the most durable weightlifting plate that's ever been made. And along with that, bring back what the history of American weightlifting was founded upon. We're not here to make a quick buck, and we're not here to like scam people and like play this big influencer game. That's definitely not the model that we're after at all. What would work is the general concept of what I'm after with the pod system. And that is, if we are transparent, if we invest heavy and we try to increase their knowledge and we show them that we care.
Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host this week and every week, John Franklin, here as always with my friend, my compatriot, the Chief Product Officer at Kilo, Mateo Lopez. How you doing, Mateo?
I'm pretty upset, to be honest.
And the reason he's upset is because one of, maybe both, but one of our guests today really showed up when it comes to his hair game. And that always puts Mateo off when he doesn't have the most coiffed hair coming in. So, we're now a hair podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to introduce Chris and Sarah Amenta to the show. And we're going to, he's got the hat on. We're going to be doing styling tips for the next hour. Welcome.
That is not the reason why I'm upset, but it's okay. We can use that for the pod.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
All right. Awesome. Well, your guys' claim to fame is you guys own SoCal Weightlifting Club. And you also have a monster e-com brand that we'll probably talk about that you're growing on the side. Barbell clubs are hard, man. Like like making it as an Olympic lifting gym is a very difficult business model. And it sounds like you guys are crushing it. You know, what separates you from the graveyard of thousands of attempted barbell clubs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. But we can definitely dive into how we got to where we are for sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it, because you guys acquired your gym, right? You got into the business by buying in.
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess to start from the beginning, Sarah and I both were involved in CrossFit pretty heavily back in the early days in different parts of the world. She was still up in Canada. I was down here in Southern California. And honestly, what it was that got me out of CrossFit was Murph in 2011. Got rhabdo really bad and spent about a week in the hospital. And
that'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
I swear I'm never doing it again.
We've all been there.
Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough. But when I went through that injury, the next thing I had to do was, okay, let me actually get my strength back and let me finally dive into weightlifting because I don't know anything about it and I suck at the lifts. So that started this whole trajectory that, began in 2011 and has continued on to today. The origins of SoCal started in 2014. So we are actually coming up on 10 years in business. And originally it was inside of a CrossFit gym and I was doing both. I was running a CrossFit gym. I was running a weightlifting club outside of the CrossFit gym. And man, probably within the first year, I realized, okay, where my passion really lies and what I'm most interested in is weightlifting. So I just dove into that. And the first couple years of SoCal were very rocky. It was a very traditional club with only about 4 or 5 people. I couldn't even call it a business at that point. And we changed locations a few times. We ended up in my garage, and I was kind of at this fork in the road on which path do I want to go down? Do I want to go back to a different career, or do I want to stick in this weightlifting and actually give this a real shot? So I ended up moving my weightlifting club into a separate CrossFit gym, and then that's where Sarah got involved. And first she started as an athlete, and then very quickly she was like, hey, I can manage the back end. This is what my education is in. And so she took on, I guess, the role of operations manager at that point. And then it just started to grow from there. So in 2016, all the way to now, we've gone from 5 athletes in a garage to now the largest weightlifting program in the country. And that is our sole focus, is Olympic weightlifting here at SoCal Weightlifting.
Because Sarah, you have a degree in sports management. Is that right?
Yeah, my undergraduate degree officially is called Sport and Fitness Leadership. It's a sport management degree. And then my master's is in sport management. Yeah. So I was always an athlete, and I thought in order to stay in sport, I had to be in like physio or massage therapy or something. But then when I found that there was business in sport, it was marrying sport and something that I was passionate about. And so I went like 6 years straight through once I discovered that was something that you could actually do in education.
When did the love journey start?
Well, if we want to go there, pretty early on. All right. Full transparency. I actually, when I started SoCal Weightlifting, it was with, an ex,
Another girl.
and her brother, and
the family biz.
yeah, it was a whole family event. And it got a little messy for sure. So when I found Sarah, and very quickly realized, oh, there's definitely a lot more here than just the skill set she provides to the business. But we were definitely, I would say, cautious, and we wanted to make sure that the business was set up the right way and that we had a good working relationship professionally before we started to pursue anything personally. So I think both of us had an inclination of where it was going to go, but we just tried to be adults about it and not rush, because we both felt like this is something, pretty meaningful. And
business partners wise, we worked so well together. Both of us didn't want to like make a move and screw it up. Like that was part, like initially I was like, I like this guy, but we have a really good business relationship, so I don't want to mess anything up.
Yeah.
Chris, you got the full CrossFit early 2010 story arc, fall in love with CrossFit, get Murph or get Rhabdo, fall in love with weightlifting, fall in love with a member, gym explosion. Like this is a tale as old as time, man. You got every check mark on your report card.
Totally. Yeah. Including the Vibram 5-finger shoes from back in the day.
Yep. That's what did it for you, Sarah?
No, those are long gone by the time I came around. Thank goodness.
So your internet broke up a little bit. You said you're the largest. Are you guys the largest barbell club in the country, world? We're largest in what?
Largest in the U.S.
That we're aware of.
Yeah, brick. And let me be clear too. That's brick and mortar. That's athletes that are coming here and training inside of our walls. There's programs that I would say are bigger than us, but they run, largely remote coaching programs.
Yeah.
Well, that was my question. You saw Catalyst, it was like kind of a sad day when we got, heard they were like shutting their doors and going remote. I was like, oh, it's kind of like end of an era. Like, is that it for weightlifting? But you guys kind of are all in on the brick and mortar side. I mean, I guess what's been the secret to your growth and being able to become like the largest in-person club?
I think part of it is that when we joined, when we bought the gym, so 2016, end of 2016, we bought the gym, and I was 26 at the time. Chris was 28. We didn't know what we were doing. And when we got in to be working with other gyms, like with NPE and with Evan as our business coach, we were exposed to a whole bunch of different business models that were not weightlifting. And so we saw all these brick and mortars doing 40K a month, 50K a month. And we thought, why can't we do that? So our expectation was not looking around, like our peers were not other weightlifting businesses. Our peers were other studios and gyms doing large numbers monthly. Right. And so that just kind of made us think, oh, okay, we can do this. We can succeed in this. And that became what our expectation was for ourselves. And so we didn't really have this mindset of, what a cap of a barbell club is. Our mindset was, what's the cap of a brick and mortar location? Because every gym will have those. And so that was kind of what we went off. Our perspective and like the world we were in was different than a typical weightlifting gym. And so that just became what our standard was. And so we just kept growing and working towards that because that was our standard.
So let's talk about that, because weightlifting clubs are hard businesses.
And weightlifters are, in my experience, horrible members for at least when we were in a CrossFit gym. Right. So yeah, as John said, tough business and tough clientele.
Very difficult to explain to someone who doesn't know what it is. Very difficult to onboard people who are uninitiated. Each member takes up a ton of space. Your reputation depends on having people who are good. People who are good are in your gym all day. And people who are good are usually broke, so they don't want to pay a premium price.
And chalk everywhere, just everywhere. Keeping that
so
thing
hard
clean.
To keep it clean.
That's my
God.
top question for today's podcast. Is like, how do you keep it clean? But anyway, keep
maybe
going,
they
John.
don't. I don't know. We're going to learn the secrets. That's why people subscribe.
Yeah.
If we said our gym was spotless, we'd be lying. Unfortunately, that's a pain point.
No.
So how do you sell your memberships? How do we package and price? And then how do you get new people? Is it just so weightlifting so big in SoCal, like you're a destination? Like look, start from the beginning. How do I buy? The only thing I see on your website is text us, which I love, by the way.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, she can definitely jump in all that. But the one thing that I want to add before we get down into that is there's actually a very unique advantage of being in a niche. And I mean, we're like a niche inside of a niche inside of a niche, you know? And so that's been actually very helpful for us. And over the years, we tried to run kind of like a circus of like, let's have weightlifting, let's have CrossFit, let's have powerlifting, let's have all these things. And it was a lot of growing pains and a lot of stagnation in the beginning. And we kept always going back to, hey, this is what we're most passionate about. And the vision that we really have is to grow the sport of weightlifting. And so what would happen if we just went all in on that? And over the years, the last 10 years, we've seen now how advantageous it is to actually be inside of this hyper-focused niche and to just go completely all in on that. So a lot of our members, they come to weightlifting and they have some level of exposure and understanding to the sport. A lot of them are ex-CrossFit athletes. A lot of them are collegiate and high school athletes that were exposed to, you know, either the power clean or the snatch at some point in their athletic careers. So I would say probably 85% of our athletes that join have some working understanding of what weightlifting is. And then from there, I'll pass it to Sarah and she can run it through how we actually find our clients and onboard them and all that.
Yeah, so the onboarding process is very straightforward. You know, you text us, we respond very promptly, and try and get you on the phone as quickly as possible to have a pre-qualification phone call to make sure that you are not requesting powerlifting.
Let's end the podcast there. We already know how you make money. We already know why you guys are successful. We can just stop it right there. The text and answer the phone quickly. No wonder you're the best barbell club in the world. I don't even think any other ones have a phone like that. Is that what you do on your coaching calls with other barbell clubs? Like, you see this thing?
Yeah,
you see this thing?
Most of the time when it's
use the phone.
Consulting or coaching other people, we're just trying to stop people from doing dumb things. It's not even like get ahead and do amazing things. Let's just stop doing the dumb things. Like, yeah, if you answer the text, then people are going to come to you. But yeah, we get them on the phone and chat with them and learn about them. So it's a 10-minute phone call or so, and figure out and ensure that they are looking for snatch and clean and jerk and that they can afford us. And then from there, they come in for an initial consult. The consult's 20 to 30 minutes meeting with one of our coaches, and they basically, you know, see their movement, get an idea of where they're at. And then from there, they go through a series of personal training sessions. So it'll be usually 3 to 5 one-on-one sessions, hour-long sessions. They're $100 each. So however many you do is just reflective of that price. After that, you get a programming meeting, or you do a programming meeting with your coach. The coach is going to walk you through the process of training. You know, how do you get your programs? Where do you record that? Go through a goal setting sheet that we have, document that we have. And then from there, you know, choose your membership, 3, 4, or 5 days a week of training that you want to do, and get you on the floor, and then get you training, like with the group, with everybody else. So the onboarding process ideally takes a week or a week and a half, depending on how many sessions, how much coaching you need to learn snatch, clean, and jerk. And then from there, you're on the floor training.
So someone texts you guys and you pop on a quick call, get information about them. They do $300 to $500 worth of personal training. If they're coming from a CrossFit background, I guess there's movement correction to be done and you can hone in on the lifts themselves. After that, you do a programming meeting, and based off of the results of the programming meeting, you sign them up for a membership. You said it's 2, 3, or 4 times a week. And what does a membership cost?
Yeah, so our membership options, they're 3, 4, or 5 days a week. Our base membership of 3 times a week for 18-month agreement is $197. And then basically it goes up $20 from there if you're adding an additional day. So $217, $237. And then if you're wanting a shorter term contract, 12 months or 6 months, then the price is increased a bit from there as well.
And is it class style? Like, is it like everybody pops in at the top of the hour, or is it run like an open gym style where you have coaches floating through the floor at all times? How does that work?
Yeah. This starts getting into the challenges of a weightlifting gym and utilization rate, and how that becomes a problem. But what we run is an open gym format with coaching. So between the hours of 2:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m., there's always at least one coach on the floor. And then we just staff it accordingly to that night. We know the nights that are going to be a lot busier. And so there'll be up to 4 coaches on the floor on those busy nights.
How many members do you work with, and how many people do you see on an average day?
So currently membership sits just over 200 members. I would say 50% of them come in every day, or, at least 3 times a week. So there's sometimes in our gym that there's maybe 20 to 30 members training at once. And that kind of balloons up to these high pressure hours, like 5:30, 6:30 p.m. We could have up to 60 weightlifters all training at one time, which gets a little crazy.
Yeah. That said, we have a specific flow to the gym. So, there could be, really busy looks like 35 to 40. If there's a lot more than that, people are going to be outside doing accessories or whatever it is. But seeing 40 people isn't uncommon. And it's not, that doesn't feel like too much. No. There's specific flow to where you do certain things in the gym so that it can handle that amount of people coming in.
I guess on the fulfillment side, like let's say it's that busy time, there's 4 coaches, like what are they instructed to do? Like, what are you, like, are they supposed to like coach someone at least 1 minute throughout the hour, or like, do they do a circle? Like, is it just the person who's about to like try a max lift, just go to that person? Like, how does it work?
It's a weightlifting gym. So they're all set up on a folding chair. They sit there and then they just eat and grunt at people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Cause that's the only way I've been coached in Olympic lifting is like someone's shoving protein in their mouth and just like exactly grunting. But, I imagine charging what you're charging and growing the way you have, you're doing a little more than that.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, first of all, it definitely starts with the athletes. That's like the taboo of what weightlifters are. But in reality, all of our weightlifters, not all, but a large majority of our weightlifters take this very seriously. And so they treat it like they're an athlete, right? So they're doing an extended warm up. They're doing jump and plyometric training before their fast lifts. They're doing snatch and clean and jerk every day. They're squatting, they're pulling, they're pressing. They're doing a ton of bodybuilding. Usually all of them have some form of, nutrition plan in place, and they take their recovery very seriously. So, I mean, maybe it's the culture that we try to build here. And then also maybe it's, some little form of luck, but we have athletes in here that treat it very seriously. So to answer your question, Mateo, how do we actually do it? Well, it is kind of challenging. There's definitely this is where like the art meets the science in our sport. Our coaches roam around the gym and we actually break the gym up. We call it our zone defense. And so our coaches will stage in the different zones that we've set up. And also we have a tiered structure to our athletes. So we have beginners, regional level, national level, international level. And so each coach is essentially in charge of one specific tier. So I'm as the high performance director, I work with all the national, international athletes. So most of my focus is going to them. And then our director of weightlifting, he works with that regional level. And then our newest coach, who's been on now for a little over a year, he focuses primarily on the beginner athletes. And so we just roam around in our zones and we coach the athletes that are in front of us. And we just spend a couple minutes with each person, move on to the next, and then just kind of circle back throughout the training session.
Something I want to add about the flow of the gym is we have specifically set up the gym so that there is an area where you do your snatch, your clean and jerk, anything where you just need the barbell. Then we have an area where you do all your squats. And then we have our bodybuilding pit where you go and do your accessories and anything else. So the coaches are not needing to roam the entire, 7,000 square feet of training space. They need to be in the areas where the technical aspects of the lifts are taking place. So yeah, if someone's going super heavy on a squat, they're going to, wander over there and make sure that they're taken care of. But our goal is to develop athletes that can train a little bit on their own too, so that, when they go to their squats, they take their bar over to the squatting area. They can do their squats there. A coach doesn't need to be there like they do on something technical, snatch. And then bodybuilding, the athletes are getting their work done, and it's a little bit of a social aspect too. So it's really fun for them, over there in our bodybuilding pit. So that's
Tell me about the pit. I want to know all about the pit.
Yeah, that's where I spend my time. Yeah,
that's
exactly right. That's what I thought.
So if you scroll up a little bit, that one with the girl in the pink or red tank top with the boxing and Spencer, that's like viewing kind of a part of the pit.
Yeah.
So
cable machine.
Oh yeah, we got some
Very
machines
nice.
in there.
What'd you say the member count was?
We have a little over 200 members.
Okay. And you said on a busy day, it's 60?
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably see. Yeah, we'll see on average about 100 of them will come in every day. And I would say we probably have about 25 or 30 that are either remote or semi-remote. And so they live like, maybe 30 minutes or an hour away. So, about 100 will come in throughout the day. We'll have athletes that start training at about 9 in the morning, and they will train consistently. Athletes will come in and out through the whole day. And then at 2:30, our coaches will come on the floor and start coaching.
Yeah, this looks huge, but still like a lot, 40, 50 people in here doing snatches. That's
barbells flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also people. There's going to be people snatching. There's going to be people over the squatting area, and then in the bodybuilding pit. So it's. I mean, with the square footage, it's totally reasonable.
So how do we keep it clean?
Zamboni.
We have a Zamboni.
Yep. We got a Zamboni.
Looks pretty chalky to me. There's a nice little. I think if you took a leaf blower to that, you're going to see some chalk flying up in there. All right. So just doing some basic math, it looks like you guys do somewhere in the neighborhood of that 40, 50 grand in just your recurring base. Mm-hmm. We talked to previous Gym World guest, Evan Lindsay, and he tipped us off and said, you guys, as a result of being one of the largest barbell clubs in the world, have kind of a sneaky, huge events business. Can you talk about some of the stuff you throw and what the kind of economic impact of that is?
Totally. Yeah. So specifically for events, I mean, this is kind of like gets to the core focus of what we're trying to build is we want athletes to go through the process of a weightlifter. And so events and competing in the sport, is pretty central to that. And so we run 3 major events every year. local weightlifting competitions that we open up to the public. We run a spring meet, a summer meet, and a winter meet. Each event lasts 2 days. We'll have about 150 athletes that will compete over those 2 days. And, registration wise, the price to compete at our event starts, it's now up to about $130, for a registration. And then with that, we give them like a full swag bag and all this stuff. We can get into how we actually structure the meets and make them valuable. But those 3 events definitely generate, a considerable amount of revenue throughout the year for us.
Mm-hmm.
This event looks great right here. I don't know if you mentioned this one, this one is with structured beer pong and
so
Halloween
we do this
costumes.
every Halloween. Every Halloween we have our water pong tournament, we call it. And so whether you want to drink or not, you don't have to. It's water pong for that reason. But then everybody dresses up. And so it gives us kind of something to do. The tournament is something to do while you're dressed up. So we do that every Halloween.
Looks like a good time. We're looking forward to our invite this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us how the meets are structured. And obviously this is easy to kind of steal if you're a barbell club, but if you have any insight into takeaways for maybe like a Gen Pop gym or a CrossFit gym, and how they could make events a bigger part of their business, we'd love to hear that as well.
Totally. Well, I'll start with the structure of it, and then you can talk about how to incorporate events into your business.
Sure.
So a traditional weightlifting competition is broken up by weight classes and age categories and gender. And so we'll run on Saturdays, we'll have all the women's classes will compete. And that'll usually be about 90 to 100 athletes. I feel like we always seem to have more women than men that compete at our events. Mm-hmm. And so a weightlifting competition per weight class usually lasts about 2 hours. And so we'll run 6 sessions per day on Saturday, and then either 5 or 6 on Sunday for all the men. Mm-hmm. And so, we create a registration link. Everything goes live on our website, and we push it through our socials. Athletes register, probably what do we launch it? 3 months out?
3 to 4, yeah.
Yeah. And then we usually will fill up pretty quick because we spend a lot of our time working with sponsors and partners that we can bring into the event to make it more valuable for athletes. Mm-hmm. And so there's been a couple things that have worked in our favor pretty well. One has just been consistency. Over the last 10 years, we've put on really high quality events, and we've built a reputation as, like, if you're going to come compete at a SoCal meet, you're going to have a very valuable experience. So they always run on time. There's plenty of equipment. The competition environment is super fun.
Space.
Yeah, the space is great, set up perfectly for weightlifting competitions. So all of those play into our favor. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, the partnerships that we try to set up. And so I'll give you a couple examples of, when you go to a weightlifting meet, at our meet, you're not just going to get like a free t-shirt with your $130 registration. We've partnered up with companies like Virus, and every athlete that signs up for our competition with the registration, you're actually going to get a brand new free singlet, and they'll screen print your name on it or your gym logo on it for you. And so if you go to their website, you'll find a singlet costs $145. So for the price of our registration, you're getting to compete in an awesome environment, and you're getting a free singlet. So we try to make it very valuable for every contestant. That's why we don't do like a big cash prize for the winner. We actually invest that money into every person that signs up for the event.
So then that probably attracts newbies into like a lot. How many people do you think have done their first weightlifting competition through you guys?
A lot.
Yeah, I would say at every competition, probably 40% of the athletes have never competed before. It's their first time.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be that high, because we're getting to the point now where we get so many people coming back, and like they just want to do SoCal meets, they just repeat SoCal meets. Yeah. So there's a good chunk of them, because part of it too, and something that's really important to us. And I remember having this conversation with Chris went to a weightlifting meet at one point. We're not going to say who or where, but he saw the experience for this new weightlifter and it was so bad. And the weightlifter was like, I'm not going to do this sport anymore. This was so dumb, And so we want the exact opposite experience for someone. We want them to be a part of it and be like, this was so cool. I want to do this again. And I don't care where you're competing and where you're training. I want you to have a good weightlifting meet experience. And what we have control over is providing you that experience to keep you in the sport. And so it's also part of, the coaches. The coaches often decide where are their athletes going to compete. And so we want to also create an environment for the coaches that are really comfortable, because it's something that they want to be a part of too. And then they tell their athletes, go sign up for SoCal. We're going to do this meet together as a club or whatever it is. So a lot of my focus too is on what's the coach's experience, because that's really important for getting clubs to come. They're the leaders there.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com.
That reputation goes a long way. I mean, Mateo and I have both been to Olympic weightlifting competitions and then plenty of CrossFit competitions when we were in the gymming days. And they were more times than not just a gong show. Like, a 12 p.m. start time could be a 2 p.m. start time, and you don't know who to go where. And a lot of them were kind of fly by night. And so to build a reputation is like, we run on schedule, we run on time, we're organized, probably goes a very long way. And now that you guys have been doing this 10 years, one of the things that we found through our event, the Two Brain Summit, is just once you get big, it's like a very defensible business because everyone wants to go to the big one. Nobody wants to go to the third best weightlifting competition in the area. So we talked about some of the reasons we don't like the barbell club, and you pushed back and said, hey, there's some advantages to being the niche of the niche of the niche. And so one of the things that we also don't love is when gym owners start to do well and then go on and do another thing and kind of
other
shoot their main business in the foot. And so we tend to say, hey, just focus on the thing you got, but you have this nice recurring revenue base. You have this events business that's putting off a few $100,000 a year. And then what we also found out is that Chris is wearing the shirt right now. You have an e-commerce brand that is apparently doing very well right now too. Can you give us a little insight into how that started and how you got some traction there?
And an equipment and plate brand?
Yeah.
Question mark?
That's still up and coming. Yeah. This one here, Onyx, is fully live. I would say it's getting into, a decently mature state as a company. So where do I start? Well, I guess the number one thing first that we have to talk about is just it takes people. It takes the right kind of people around you, and you got to have the right people in the right seats to move things forward. And so, yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't recommend gym owners to start looking at other ventures until they know that their main thing is secure and they have a good, solid structure to it, and the systems have been proven, and that includes the people that are involved with that. So one of the reasons why we have the opportunity to pursue other endeavors is because we have an operations manager in place. We have a director of the weightlifting program in place, and we have systems behind all that have made SoCal, or at least given us the opportunity to go pursue other things. So, and that led to Onyx. Onyx is definitely near and dear to both of us. The founder of Onyx was my training partner 10, 12 years ago, before SoCal weightlifting even existed. Him and I came up under the same weightlifting coach. And then I branched away. I started SoCal. A couple of years after that, he started making leather straps, pulling straps for weightlifters. And he ran it as like a hobby business for a few years. And in that time, Sarah and I were working on growing SoCal. And then in 2018, all of us were out in Barcelona at a competition. There's the founder. That's Danny there. So Danny, Sarah, and I, we were sitting at a cafe in Barcelona, and we started to have a conversation about taking Onyx to the next level and actually moving it from a little hobby in his garage to an actual business. And so we pitched it to him, and we said, hey, we can come in and partner up with you, and we can provide a lot of structure and a lot of vision, and you can be kind of the master craftsman behind it, and let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. So we got involved at the end
so
of
you guys run this out. It's upstairs.
Yeah. So our entire space is 10,000 square feet, and that includes a 2,000 square foot leather workshop upstairs where we actually manufacture all the products.
Yeah, that's it there. So
Is
something
that
I want
this
to
that
add,
we're showing here right now?
Yeah, that's the shop upstairs. So just to the left of Danny is a window that looks down onto the training floor there. But something I want to add to discuss the whole other endeavors thing is we definitely agree with that. So we are not people that think you should go and try everything and then see what works, because none of it is going to work if you do that. And we had multiple examples of that. You know, when we bought the gym in 2016, we tried to grow both CrossFit and weightlifting, and it didn't work. You know, like we couldn't grow both. And we finally came to a point where we said, we got to decide what we want to do. And the passion was definitely weightlifting. And so we kind of like just let CrossFit slowly decrease. And then that allowed weightlifting to increase. And that kind of like changed our, the membership base from, you know, weightlifters here and CrossFitters here when we first bought it. And it's drastically the opposite direction now. Right. And so that was lesson number one. Lesson number two was, in 2018-19, when we decided we were going to partner in with Onyx, the gym started doing terribly. You know, like we had not led our coaches to be able to run the business without us. And so, you know, when Chris is traveling a ton for Onyx stuff, and we're just not as involved and thinking like, oh, they're coaches, they can handle it. You know, like they were 26, 27 as well. And so the gym started not doing very well. And going into COVID, things were not hot for SoCal weightlifting, you know? So for the listeners who think we're doing a ton of things successfully, and they should too, it did not start that way. We really had to learn, you know, we really had to dive back into SoCal and get that sorted, and then be able to, you know, continue pushing Onyx forward. So we definitely agree with that.
What were the things that you got sorted that allowed you to now get the business to a place where you can start to grow Onyx and then pursue some of these other things?
Well, first, it's all about leadership, and that starts at the very top. So I think Sarah and I had to have some really hard conversations with ourselves on how are we actually showing up as leaders, and are we giving our coaches the tools to actually succeed, or are we just passing off, you know, a bunch of shit and expecting them to fix all the problems? So, and
some of that started with a meeting we had with all our staff at the end of 2019. And we basically gave them the floor to tell us everything that we were doing wrong and what they were frustrated about. And we were able to hold a mirror up. We were able to hold a mirror up and say, yeah, this is how we're failing our staff. And this is how they're experiencing it and what they're frustrated with, because that goes into what do we need to fix on ourselves, which then we can turn around and put back into the business. I think things like if we're looking at tactical things, clarity on job descriptions, job roles, who's doing what, who wants to do what, and whose skills, you know, are better suited for certain things or others. Because if no one has accountability, then things aren't going to get done. if no one's responsible for something, it's just not, if it's kind of like, oh, the whole, we're all working towards this, we're all doing this. It's like, things aren't going to get done. There's no accountability there. Yeah. And I think that was a big piece to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how big is the team now?
Well, we can start with SoCal.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
SoCal has
6, 7.
3 plus Chris. So 4 full-timers. So operations manager, weightlifting coach, weightlifting director, and then high performance coach of Chris.
Yep.
I work in it part-time, and then we have
2 part-time coaches there.
2 part-time coaches.
So 7
and custodian. Bit.
I would say 7 for SoCal. Onyx has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 employees with SoCal or with Onyx. And then currently Maverick doesn't have any employees. That's the barbell and equipment company.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of us involved. So I would say all in terms of all the employees and the different owners that are involved, we have about 16, 17 people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen what's going on with these influencer gyms like Alpha Land or Fusion gyms, where you have these big bodybuilder meccas that become destination gyms where people travel to? Feel like you guys are, a couple steps away from making a destination gym for barbell. Oh, I see you shaking your head already. You're already out. You're already out.
Yeah.
Well, I think the difference is these guys, I mean, Chris and Sarah actually coach and, create athletes and want to move the sport forward, not build a fitness mall. That's just what I'm gleaning.
Totally.
Well, why don't we ask them? Because that's what the point of the show is, Tal. We don't have to speculate because they're here.
We are aware that in the Olympic weightlifting world, we have been branded a bit as like the influencers, or there's, we have a number of athletes here that have 20
branded as what
20 or 30,000 followers. And so people have, wanted to affiliate us with that. And we don't want to be affiliated with that. Maybe there's a handful of people that have that, but out of 200 people, that's like 1% of our membership base is that.
No. Yeah. We're not here to make a quick buck, and we're not here to like scam people and like play this big influencer game. That's definitely not the model that we're after at all. Like, what drives me the most is performance and getting athletes to represent Team USA at the international level, and also to grow weightlifting at the grassroots level. So, we have built a model here that we'll have 90% of our athletes are just recreational weightlifters, and they choose to snatch and clean and jerk over burpees and box jumps. And then we do have a small contingency that is very focused on high performance. But in terms of the influencers, what we find is, usually those are pretty ego-driven individuals, and they're quite self-centered. So what they really care about is themselves. And that's not what we're about at all. Like, it doesn't align with our values at all. So those people will quickly find their way out of our business.
Mm-hmm. And for the people that have stayed, that's just a reflection of them being a values fit for us,
I noticed that both the gym and Onyx have large Instagram followings, but neither of you are very active. So the answer doesn't surprise me. I don't see you guys out there peddling for clout.
No, I feel like I need to do better at it, actually. But yeah.
Well, among these other businesses, Sarah, you are also a fitness business coach and mentor as well, right? And so I imagine a lot of the weightlifting gyms that you talk to are, and in our experiences coaching businesses as well, they need to grow, they need more leads, they need more money, they need more members. And so what is your strategy for attracting new clients? I know we've talked about niching down the power of that, but other guests we've talked to, they're really, they have a content creation strategy on Instagram. Some gyms we talk to is like, it's paid ads, it's paid ads, it's paid ads. So how do you guys grow, and how do you advise other weightlifting gyms that you talk to attract new clients?
Well, it's mostly a math game, right? So depending on where you're at and how many clients you have, when I am advising the gyms that I work with, for the most part, I want them to be doing all organic growth, because you can grow organically. You don't need to dump a ton of money into marketing. And for most weightlifting coaches and gym owners, they are very knowledgeable on training, developing athletes. They don't know the ins and outs of Facebook ads and, you know, the strategies of how to go about creating a successful paid campaign, you know? And so, like I said, it's really just math. So for us specifically, like, our targets are to grow by 4 a month. You know, we want 12 signups. We want to lose less than 8. In order to get 12, we need to have 30 plus leads a month that come in. And so our operations manager and the strategies that we implement are to get 30 plus leads a month. How we go about that, most of that is organic. We are now starting to get into a paid ad strategy for us personally. Like, you know, we're 10 years into this and we're only now starting to put money into paid marketing, because you should be able to, you know, you should be able to convert 8 to 10 people a month off of organic, just from referral campaigns, from events that you run, you know, your platforms, you know, your Google page, your website, your social media, all that should be structured to be attractive to the right kind of person that you're attracting. And if you look, again, like I said, the math, the numbers on it, if you have 100 members with a 4% churn rate, you're losing less than 4. If you can sign up 8 to 10 every single month, you're going to be netting 4 to 6 every single month. So you're going to be growing, right? If your churn rate is through the roof, that's going to be a problem. Instead of worrying about growth, you should be worried about making your product better, right? For us, when you start to get into 200 members and you have a 4% churn rate, you're now losing that 8-ish a month. If you have a bad month, you know, a little uptick for whatever reason, you know, you lose 10 to 12 and you're getting 8 to 10 in organically, you're now starting to plateau. And so the paid, that's where the paid comes in, right? Now we need to get an additional 10, 15, 20 people in to convert over and to continue to grow. And so for my clients, that's kind of the way I go about it. You know, we just set targets and on an organic, in an organic way. If you are getting to that 200 member mark, then that's where you're going to need, just numbers wise, you're probably going to need to start spending a little bit of money. So that's the way we do it.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit there, and it comes down to this. Your question, Mateo, was, you know, how do you get other gyms to grow, and like, what would you advise other gyms to do? And people get so caught up in like what the marketing strategies are going to be. Like, if you distill down what marketing really is, it's just trying to gain more exposure, and so you have to create ways to. You got to talk about yourself. You got to create ways to show people and showcase what you guys are doing. So, you know, it's been a combination of all these things that have been layered over the last 10 years that include the events, whether those are public events like our competitions that we talked about, or the internal gym events that are going on to create culture and to create environment. And so you give yourself reasons to go share what you guys are doing, and then you just post those things. I don't think you need to get so tied up into all of the different strategies when you're just starting off and you're just getting going. Once you get to those higher stages and you're doing 50K in revenue a month, well, then now we probably have to start playing a more specific game on growth.
And what percentage of your membership would you say is ex-CrossFitters? It
was pretty high. I see less leads coming in that were CrossFitters. But there's been half at least, like a lot.
Yeah, I think weightlifting is a sport that has benefited greatly from social media. It's a very attractive sport to watch on social media, to watch someone do a snatch or a clean and jerk. Like, it looks really cool. So in the early days, almost everybody was CrossFitters because they had experience, you know, with the snatch, the clean and jerk through that. Nowadays, though, I would say majority of our athletes, they're doing some form of strength training, and they found weightlifting on YouTube or on Instagram, and then they kind of went down the rabbit hole, And then eventually got to the point where they go, oh shit, this is like very complicated. I need a coach. I need to be on a program. I want to like get serious about this. And then they'll come to us.
So you're saying you're seeing a lot more people who were maybe at a Globo gym and tried to do it themselves and realized, I don't know what I'm doing. I probably want to get coached.
Yes.
Yeah. The biggest need, or like what most people want when they come to us or when they're reaching out to us for the first time, is that they want to get, they want to have technical improvement. They want to get better at the lifts. And so it's not like, I saw this and I've never done it before and I want to try it. It's more like, I've tried it. I now realize it's really hard. I want to have some support on that. So, technical improvements and strength improvements is what they're looking for when they come to us. So yeah, I would say a lot of CrossFitters for sure. That's been huge for the growth of weightlifting.
Yeah.
Last thing before we let you guys run. So you said your retention, 4% month over month retention. That is above industry average. I would imagine there are challenges keeping retention that low with a weightlifting gym. Aside from offering good coaching, is there anything else that you're doing to keep your members involved and paying?
Yeah. The biggest thing that we've added to our product in the last 12 months has been this creation. It was kind of my brainchild. We call it our pod system. And it's radically changed. I mean, in the last 12 months, we've just watched our churn rate just continue to drive down lower and lower. Mm-hmm. And our client surveys, our quarterly surveys, have continued to just get better and better. So it's clearly working. So the pod system in its simplest form is a tiered program system based off of the skill level of the athlete. So we have those beginners, those regionals, those national levels. We even have a masters group, so the athletes that are 35 years and older. So that started to shift everything. Once we broke everyone up into their different pods, we got even clearer and more effective with the design of the programs. So then athletes are getting more results because their programs are even more individualized to them. And then on top of that, it's this element of increasing a weightlifter's IQ. All right. We call it increasing your weightlifting IQ. All right. And my belief is if you're a more intelligent athlete, then you're going to be a better weightlifter. So every Tuesday night after training, we run a 1-hour pod meeting and we cycle through the different pods. So, this week was nationals. Next week, it's going to be the locals. The week after that, the regionals. And in those meetings, we bring everyone upstairs into that Onyx office, and we'll do a handful of things. We'll talk about the mechanics of the lifts, and we'll break down all the little nuanced details of the snatch and the clean and jerk. We'll talk about velocity-based training, and we'll talk about plyometrics and why these are a part of your program. And then as they get ready for competition, we start getting into competition strategies, competition mindset. And so all of those things just create so much buy-in, and it creates such a level of transparency because our athletes see us up there investing in them and telling them and sharing with them just to increase their knowledge. And so taking that extra step and investing back in our athletes and creating this whole pod system has, in the last 10 years of business, it's been, in my mind, it's been the most forward-thinking thing that we've done that's allowed us to kind of ascend to that next level. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited about where it's going to go.
And do you think that's something that a non-performance-oriented gym could implement? Like someone who, most like these gyms that are tailored towards making moms feel better, things like that, where there isn't a competitive goal that they're working towards?
I don't think that system, taken out of SoCal and duplicated into another gym with completely different athletes. No, I don't think that would work. But I think that what would work is the general concept of what I'm after with the pod system. And that is investing back into your athletes, increasing their knowledge, being transparent about their program and the development of them, either as an athlete or just a recreational, someone that's after health and fitness. If we are transparent, if we invest heavy and we try to increase their knowledge and we show them that we care, then yes, that is applicable to any gym.
So what's next for y'all? Specifically, what's going on with Maverick?
Man, there's so much that's still coming. One is we're starting to lay down some groundwork for a second location for SoCal. Yeah. So that's kind of the next 12 to 18 month
goal. You heard it here first, folks.
Wow.
You did.
Yeah.
You did hear it here first.
You did hear it here first for sure. And then, Mavericks is, man, we would need to do a whole separate podcast to get into Maverick. Maverick is a very, very special company to me. It was founded in the early 60s. It is the only American-made full rubber bumper plate on the market. And you can get crumb plates. They make crumb plates down in Alabama, but a true rubber plate, like a full rubber plate, Maverick is the only one on the market. And those plates are absolutely indestructible. So I have bumper plates that get used here in the busiest weightlifting gym in the country. And these plates are 40, 50 years old, and they still get used every single day. So Maverick, just to real quick, Mateo, Maverick had its heyday in the 90s and the 2000s. And then in 2008, the company actually went completely dormant and it just disappeared. And it never closed. It just disappeared. And it's been like that since we bought the company. And so my goal is to revitalize Maverick and reestablish Maverick as, the most durable weightlifting plate that's ever been made. And along with that, bring back what the history of American weightlifting was founded upon. And so that's the goal, is to start to get that story of Maverick out there and to get coaches understanding, where did we come from? What's the history that's tied to our sport and to our culture? And then let's sell the best damn plates ever made.
What a way to go out.
I know. I love it so much.
A lot of spots to find you. Where are we sending people if they want to learn more and follow along in the journey?
Oh, man. So first you got to start with SoCal. On Instagram at SoCal WLC. You can go to our website, SoCalWLC.com. And then you got Onyx straps, Onyx_straps. That's on Instagram. You can get to the website that way. Or if you're interested in the plates, go to MaverickBarbell.com and you get that. Go check those out.
Yeah. And if you're interested in consulting stuff or want some support on business side, then you can just hit me up on Instagram, sarah.amenta, or go to the link in my bio on Instagram too, with Gym Builder with Evan. So looking to grow that and help more clubs and weightlifting clubs and gyms. And so, yeah.
And there you have it, Gym World. It's not easy scouting and finding the largest barbell club in the country, getting them to come on and share all their secrets with you, and showing up with great hair on top of it. So if you appreciated this, you be sure to you be sure to subscribe. You go buy yourself some Maverick plates. Your kids are going to fight over them. And we'll see you next week, Gym World. We love you. Bye.